Now we know about the bit logic. We already discussed the bit logic, the comparators, and the counters. What I see is very useful tools, the integer function and the floating point function. So they are pretty much similar. The only difference between these two functions, these functions are assigned for the integer values, and these functions are assigned for the floating point function or the real function. They are exactly the same. So if we just go quickly one by one, this is adder. So if we create a new network, so this adder, just adding two elements, integer 1 and integer 2. So this is subtraction. Just subtract integer 1 minus integer 2. The following one is multiplication, multiply first element by second element. Both are integer. The fourth one is divided. So you just divide integer 1 by integer 2, and so on. And this is the same, but double integer. So add double integer, subtract, multiplication, division, and modulation. So very straightforward calculations, straightforward functions, but are only valid for the integer values. Almost the same set of functions are available for the floating point functions or the real function. So the first one here is the adder, adding, subtracting, multiplication, division. That's exactly the same, but here there are some more elements which only available on the floating point or the real ones, which are ABS, absolute value, square t, which is the square root value, the lim, exponential, sine, cosine, tan, and so on. There are all mathematical elements that being used in very specific applications. I haven't come across these two elements too much in my experience, but of course these are frequently used, but not sine, cosine. They are not much being used on the industrial applications. It's very rare to find some applications they ask you to get a sine value or a cosine value of some value, unless it's very specific calculation or equation. So either these two, either the integer function or the floating point function, are being used for calculation, adding, subtracting, multiplication, division. Very straightforward. Just to give it an example, so we'll go back to our shared DB. We'll see what we have. We have integer 1, and then we have another one, shared DB, we have integer 2. And then we can put that because we have only two integers on the shared DB, we have only this integer 1, integer 2, only two integers. So we can either add another integer and store the value on that integer, or create a temporary value here, which we call it local integer. And then the data type is integer. Okay, and then we assign the value here to be local integer. Very simple. The usage of the temporary value is very useful. We usually use the temporary values when you're using a local tag, not a tag to be used in any other functions. So that tag is only valid within FC1. This local integer can't be used on FC2 or FC3 or any other functions. Only to be used on FC1. This is only the disadvantage of using the temporary or local tags, but it's very useful very easy way to create a local tag instead of creating a global tag in a DB, just to be local. So this is addition. We can do exactly the same on the real value. We can just put shared db will show us only the real, so we have real one, and then shared db will have real 2, and then we'll create local real, and the data type is real. Okay, and then we'll just type here local real. So just adding these two real value, just adding these two integer value, very straightforward, very commonly used in every application, this type of functions. Thank you.